Welcome back everyone, Mudford here. I'm out in the shop today working on a Honda 400EX. Seems like I'm always working on quads lately. I had a bunch of videos on Jeremiah's LT80 of modifying it, making it ready to race. I've got a couple of videos on my Polaris quad that I use for snow plowing and deer hunting. And I even have a video working on my neighbor's quad. Today I'm working on this Honda 400EX. I just picked it up to ride with Jeremiah and possibly run some hare scrambles with. I picked up a 400EX after doing some research because I had thought they were fairly low maintenance, but I've already overheated the engine and probably melted the piston and had the top of the piston break and the rings come loose, I'm guessing, because it got pretty hot on a trail ride with Jeremiah, and then it stalled and I had no compression. So we're just going to tear into it now, see what we find. I've got 2 weeks to fix it before the first hare scramble. Haven't got a lot done to it yet. I've taken the gas tank and some of the plastic off, got the carburetor off, and the valve cover off. I'm going to go ahead now and try to get the head off and see if we can see anything. The next thing I pulled off was the oil tank and then the exhaust. Now I just got to get the camshaft turned, and then I should be able to get the cam loose, and then once I get the cam out I can get the other head bolts out and get the head off. Okay, I got the engine turned so that other camshaft bolt is visible now. I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Oops, that wasn't good. Be careful not to lose the bearings. Now we can get to the other two head bolts that were under the camshaft, and then we can get this head off. There's the head out. It looks like I see little bits of aluminum on the valves up here. Those are probably pieces of piston. Those light colored bits are in fact pieces of the piston right around just on top of the top ring groove on the back part. So we're going to go ahead and get this cylinder off and see how bad it's damaged. What holds the cylinder on is only a 12. There's not a lot of space around it, so I went with a 3/8 drive. Before I attempt to slide the cylinder off, I'm going to try to get as much of that metal off the piston as I can so it doesn't end up down in the bottom of the engine. Hopefully when you take yours out, your cylinder looks better than this. Hopefully your piston looks better than this. So you can see the piston got pretty hot. It's garbage. The machinist said he thinks he can save my cylinder, so I'm going to go ahead and, when I hear back from him, order the piston kit for it. When I was looking down in here, I saw the blue from the heat on the crankshaft, and I freaked out and thought the crankshaft was ruined. And then I did some research and found out that that is normal. So I looked up an article on it, and it shows the heat right there, the blue. And it says it does not mean the crank cannot be rebuilt or is no good. That is normal. So I can breathe a sigh of relief now. I was pretty stressed out about that, and just continue forward with the top end. I'm going to go ahead and pull the piston out now while I'm waiting for the cylinder. Valves out of the head now, just to have a quick look at them to see if they're damaged or not. I wanted to show you that if you're in a pinch, like I want to get these out tonight and I don't have a tool small enough, normally I just have a rocker type one, you can usually find something that'll work. Like I'm just using the head bolts. I've got a socket underneath to hold the valve up, and I'm just going to rock this down and push. It'll push the spring down, and I can pull the keepers out with this magnet. I should be able to get the valves right out. One keeper. Whoa. Able to get them all out that way. Might not be quite as easy as with the proper tool, but it can be done. Waiting for the new piston and to get the cylinder honed out to where it needs to be. I'm going to go ahead and just do some valve lapping. My head wasn't really damaged a whole lot. You can see some marks on there. It's aluminum, so it didn't really hurt the steel, but it just left little pieces of it on. I'm just going to clean it up. I'm just going to lap the valves and then call it good. Where it goes. And then what I'm going to do is hook my drill up to it on low speed, just to help me out here. Just going to go real slow. Okay, my valve looks pretty good now. I don't see any of the aluminum left on there. I think that'll seal up good. The sealing surface on the head looks a lot better now too. I think we're going to be okay. I'm going to move on to the next one. The valves and got all traces of aluminum off the valves and the valve seats. I removed some carbon buildup on the exhaust ports right near the valves. I just used a little tiny screwdriver, cleaned it up, blew it out with air, brake parts cleaner, and then air. Cleaned everything all up, and I'm ready to put the valves back in. Sure everything is clean. Everything looks good. Just going to get my keepers handy here, get them cleaned off. So I'm gapping the new Iceco rings. So the top ring don't be tricked by this. That is millimeters. Your feeler gauges are probably going to be in inches. So 20 is your max. You're going to want to be between 8 and 14. So I think we're good with that one. So we're going to go on to the second ring. So there we are. That's a 17. I think we're good. I'm going to go ahead and get the rings installed on the piston. I've got the rings all in, and I put one side of the keepers in so that I can put it down over the connecting rod and then push the pin in and then put the other keeper in. I did have these all lined up, the ring gaps, where Wiseco wanted them, but I think I'm going to have to redo it once I get it put on. And Wiseco pistons, the arrow goes towards the exhaust side, which would be the front. So we're going to go ahead and get this in. Okay, I got it all the way through. I got to put the keeper in on this side. Okay, I got the piston clip in, which was kind of a pain, but I finally got that. Got the rings lined up the way they're supposed to be, and I'm getting them slipped down over the cylinder now. I'm getting the cylinder slid down over the rings. It's tapered, so it does kind of want to slip on. You just kind of help the rings out a little bit. So that's what I'm doing right now. Okay, that was a slow, painful process. I didn't have the camera on. What I ended up doing was putting a screwdriver under the piston, getting the rings started up in the cylinder, using the screwdriver to very gently push them in, hopefully without marring them too bad. And then I also had the cam chain up through. And make sure you start the guide for that too. I had it all the way started the one time, didn't have the guide in. I had the guide behind it. So I think I've got it now. I'm going to go ahead and just keep wiggling it down. Now I'm just going to try to get some bolts started. Okay, it looks like I got all of them at least started. I'm going to get these side ones started before I try to torque it down. I was just torquing the cylinder down. This is not the ideal wrench to use. It's supposed to be 3 steps to 33 foot-pounds. I think I'm close enough. I have a couple of the click type torque wrenches, but they are way out of calibration. I need to get either a new one or get mine calibrated. So we've got the cylinder torque down. I've got the piston up to top dead center. I had some problems with the cam chain being wrapped up down there. So I had to take my bolt cover off on the side and turn the engine over backwards and get the chain loose. So I got it up out of the way now, and I have my other guide on. You're going to want to take your chain tensioner out before you do the head, so you can get things lined up and then put the tension on the chain. I've got my head back together and cleaned up. If you take yours apart, be very careful with the keepers. It's very easy to send one of these flying, especially if you don't have the right tool. So I'm just going to clean this up with some brake parts cleaner and blow it down with some compressed air, and then we'll be ready to put the head back on. So we got the cylinder head ready to go on. I've already sat the gasket on. The hammer is just holding the cam chain up right now. I'm going to have to get the cam chain to come through the hole here without dropping everything. There we go. The hook pick works great for grabbing a hold of this. Just trying not to stab myself in the hand with it. These are capped, so make sure you have your washer, because if you don't, probably end up driving it through the top. Just going to tighten up the cylinder head nuts. It's the same torque as the cylinder bolts. They want 33 foot-pounds. We're going to go in a couple steps. Before you put the bearings in, clean them out with brake parts cleaner and then use compressed air, but don't spin them super fast and blow them up. Okay, the way we want it is we want the cam down, and that will be top dead center on the firing stroke. Okay, now we got the gasket on. We're going to go ahead and throw the valve cover on. Throw the spark plug in, the pipe on, the carb on, and then we'll give it a try, firing it up and see how it goes. So I got the carburetor on. I ended up not rejetting it. It already has a 182 jet in it, which is much bigger. Got the gas tank on. Got it all ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and fire it up. Okay, sounds good. Idled good off the start. I'm pretty stoked. Looks like I'm going to be able to race after all.